In this video, we're going to be talking about Booleans and when you should use them. We're also going to dive a little bit into some comparison operators that are within Python as well. So let's go ahead and go to Visual Studio Code so we can see the file set up in it. I have it set up right now with the Python lessons, and then inside there I have something here called Booleans. And as far as the notes go here for it, obviously we've dealt with the other primitive types, which are numbers as well as strings. This is the last and final primitive data type that we're going to use and talk about. But Boolean, it's really simple. It has two values. It's either true or it's false. It's just like a light switch. It's either on or it's off. There's no in between. And the way that we're going to signify Boolean values is the following. And let's go ahead and create a variable here called isRaining. And then we're going to set that equal to being true. So notice that the true on here, we have a capital T. That's very important. It's either going to be a capital T with a true or a capital F for a false. So think of a weather app, for example, and we're getting some information from the weather reader, and it's talking about the weather forecast. And we have this keyword up here called is, right? Now, again, we could name this anything that we want. It's totally arbitrary. But usually when you are creating Boolean type of variables, you always want to have something in here that's telling the developer that this could be something truthy or falsy. Is raining, is sunny, is logged in. Those types of things are going to be very important when you come to variable naming. So let's go ahead and do an example of a false. We'll do is sunny, and we're going to set that to false. So those are your examples. Again, a Boolean part, that's the simple, most easiest data type. It's either true or false, 0 or 1, for example. Now let's go ahead and talk about comparison operators. And one of the things that you're going to find when you are starting your programming career here is that whenever we have a decision to be made, we're going to go down one path or another. Usually it's based off of some sort of comparison, some sort of value. And I mean, we do this all the time in our own daily lives, meaning that if we come up to a red stoplight, well, what do? Well, we stop the car, right? We push the brakes. Just like we just made a decision based off of something that's going on in our environment. So these comparison operators just by themselves are going to report something that could be truthy or falsy. So again, comparison operators are used to compare two values. They will return a Boolean value. And there are comparison operators out there, and again, we're kind of dipping back into our math, right? Where we have greater than, less than, equal to, not equal to. Then those are the things that we're talking about here. So the first one that we're going to deal with here is going to be the greater than. And greater than operator looks exactly just like you've learned about it in high school, right? You have this little symbol here, which is the greater than symbol. And so if we come over here and we are comparing two numbers, again, as a human, we can read this, right? Is 5 larger than 3? Yeah, we just compared the two and it happens to be true. So let me go ahead and run this and we can see that it is in fact true. Well, let's take a look at the false statement, and which is just the opposite. Is 3 greater than 5? Well, again, that's going to be false. Now we can also, some people try to do this with strings. Can you see if a string is greater than another one? And this would be probably for sorting purposes. And if I do something like this, print, and then is apple, right? Is apple greater than banana, meaning that is apple higher on the alphabetical list than banana. And we're going to save this and we're going to run it. we get false, right? Because A is not greater than B. And the reason that this is coming true, and again, I don't expect you all to know this or anything like that, but each one of these letters here is assigned a value, is assigned a number. And that's what it's really comparing when it compares to strings. So this is only useful when we're talking about sorting. If we take a look at this other example here, and again, uppercase, lowercase, they do matter. And if we run this, I get false. Well, again, why are we getting false? I'm going to do a print here, and I'm going to do an ORD of the capital letter A, just to show you what is the value that it is picking up based off of the apple part, right? And if we look at this and save it here, there we go. We get 65. Well, what about the lowercase a? Let's look at it. And so in computer lingo, it is assigned the value of 97. And so again, when we're comparing these strings, when we're comparing these, that is why we're getting expected values that we are for truthy and falsy. So just know that in the back of your mind, that if we're going to be utilizing something like this, they all need to be lowercase for sorting purposes. Now, of course, we have greater than or equal to, and let's take a look at what that looks like. So whenever we're utilizing it, again, we're just doing the greater than or equal to, and then we're comparing it, just like we did in math class before. Is 5 greater than or equal to 5? Well, that's true. So that's going to return true. Same thing for is 5 greater than or equal to 3? Okay. So if we save this, run it, we're going to see that we get true, true, false. All right. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this just to show you what the opposites look like. And so this is going to be your less than, and then we also have your less than or equal to. Hopefully those are going to be self-explanatory to you. Now, the equal case. So what if we have two values that we're trying to compare that are equal? Well, let's take a look at how we would represent it. So if we're talking about numbers, we're going to utilize a double equal sign. The reason that we're utilizing the double equal sign instead of just a single one is because we're not trying to assign it a value. We're trying to compare. That's going to be the main difference, right? Now, of course, you can also compare strings. I think we've talked a little bit about that before in a previous video. But just to give you an idea of what that looks like, go ahead and add an extra space here. But this is for the strings, right? And so something that I want to bring to your attention with this is, let's look at this. Hey, is this exactly the same, right? Double equal signs. That's what I want you to remember, double equal signs. But look at the characters, right? Are they all lowercase? Because when we come down here to my line 40, this is going to return false. And why is it return false? Well, that's because this H right here is an uppercase, right? And it goes right back to applying numerical values to these to catch them up. But anyways, it is looking at the string itself. Uppercases are treated differently than lower cases, which is why we get a false representation from that Boolean comparison check. All right, now the last operator that we have to talk about is, what about the not equal? So the way that we go about it is we utilize an exclamation mark and then a single equal sign. And so that's going to be the main difference on this one. So if we look here, we have the exclamation mark and then an equal, and then that is represented right here with the false. And then we also have, is 5 not equal to 3? That happens to be true. And that's the way that you have to read this. Maybe reading it out loud is the best way to help you out when you're first starting to learn this. Is 5 not equal to 5? Nope, that's wrong, because those are equal. Oh, is 5 not equal to 3? That's a true statement. And then the same thing goes for the string version as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. And again, this may be a little confusing, but just try to read it out loud print hello, so all lowercase hello, is that not equal to all lowercase hello? No, they're equal. Same thing over here, hello and then the world, are those not equal? That is true. So again, the not equal seems to be always the confusing part when it comes to students when they're learning how to program with this. But anyways, make sure that you revisit this video, and of course you're going to be challenged in the future, and we're getting ready to do conditional statements, and it's going to be very imperative for you to recognize what these conditional operators do and look like. So we'll see you in the next video.